In the quiet village of Everwood, everyone knew everyone else. The village was small, surrounded by green fields and tall, ancient trees. The houses were quaint, with colorful gardens and friendly neighbors who greeted each other every day. It was a peaceful place, where not much ever changed. At the edge of the village lived a young boy named Oliver. Oliver was 10 years old, with bright blue eyes and a curious mind. He lived with his parents in a cozy cottage, and he loved exploring the woods and fields around his home. But despite his adventurous spirit, Oliver often felt lonely. He had no friends his age in the village, and he longed for someone to share his adventures with. One sunny afternoon, while wandering through the woods, Oliver stumbled upon a hidden path he had never noticed before. Intrigued, he decided to follow it. The path wound through the trees, leading him deeper into the forest. After walking for a while, he came across a small, overgrown garden with a stone bench in the center. Sitting on the bench was a girl about his age, reading a book. The girl looked up and smiled when she saw Oliver. "Hello," she said, "I'm Emma. What brings you here?" Oliver was surprised to find someone else in the woods. "Hi, I'm Oliver. I was just exploring and found this path. I've never seen you in the village before." Emma closed her book and stood up. "That's because I don't live in the village. My family and I moved into the old house at the end of the lane last week." "It's nice to meet you, Oliver." Oliver was excited to meet someone new. "It's nice to meet you too, Emma. Would you like to explore the woods with me? I know some really cool places we can go." Emma's eyes lit up. "I'd love to. Let's go." From that day on, Oliver and Emma became fast friends. They spent their days exploring the woods, climbing trees, and discovering hidden spots. They built a treehouse where they could play and share their secrets. For the first time, Oliver felt truly happy. He had found a friend who loved adventure as much as he did. One day, while exploring a part of the woods they hadn't visited before, Oliver and Emma found an old, abandoned cabin. The cabin was covered in ivy, and its windows were broken. It looked like it had been empty for many years. "Let's go inside," Emma suggested. Oliver hesitated. "What if it's not safe?" Emma smiled reassuringly. "We'll be careful. Besides, it looks like an exciting place to explore." They carefully entered the cabin. Inside, it was dark and dusty, but they could see old furniture and pictures on the walls. It felt like stepping back in time. As they looked around, they found a small, locked chest under a dusty table. "Do you think there's something valuable inside?" Oliver asked. "Only one way to find out," Emma replied. She looked around and found an old, rusty key hanging on a nail by the door. "Maybe this key will open it." To their surprise, it fit perfectly. Inside the chest, they found a collection of old letters, photographs, and a beautiful, hand-painted journal. "This must belong to the person who used to live here," Emma said, opening the journal carefully. As they read through the journal, they learned that it belonged to a young girl named Eliza, who had lived in the cabin over 100 years ago. Eliza had written about her adventures in the woods, her love for nature, and her dreams of exploring the world. "She was just like us," Oliver said, feeling a connection to Eliza. Emma nodded. It's amazing to think that she walked these same woods and had her own adventures here. They decided to take the journal and letters back to their treehouse, where they could read more about Eliza's life. Over the next few weeks, they read every page, learning about her dreams, her challenges, and her love for the forest. Inspired by Eliza's stories, Oliver and Emma decided to make a scrapbook of their own adventures. They filled it with drawings, photographs, and notes about the places they discovered and the fun they had together. It became a treasured keepsake of their friendship. One afternoon, while they were adding to their scrapbook, they heard a voice calling their names. It was Mrs. Whitaker, an elderly woman who lived in the village. She often told stories about the history of Everwood and its people. "Hello, Mrs. Whitaker," Emma said. "What brings you here?" Mrs. Whitaker smiled warmly. "I heard you two found something interesting in the old cabin. May I see it?" Oliver handed her Eliza's journal. "We found this in a locked chest. It's filled with stories about a girl who lived there long ago." Mrs. Whitaker's eyes filled with tears as she gently held the journal. "Eliza was my grandmother. She often told me stories about her life in the cabin and her adventures in the woods. I had no idea this journal existed." Emma and Oliver were amazed. "She was your grandmother?" Mrs. Whitaker nodded. "Yes. She was a remarkable woman. Thank you for finding this and bringing it to me. It means more than you can imagine." Oliver and Emma felt proud that they had found something so special. "Happy we could give it to you," Emma said. Mrs. Whitaker smiled and looked at their scrapbook. "I see you two have been having your own adventures. Eliza would have loved that." From that day on, Mrs. Whitaker became a close friend to Oliver and Emma. She shared stories about Eliza and the history of Everwood, and in return, they shared their own adventures with her. The three of them often visited the old cabin, now a place of cherished memories and connections to the past. As the years went by, Oliver and Emma's friendship grew stronger. They continued to explore, learn, and create new memories together. Their scrapbook became a testament to their bond and the adventures they shared. The village of Everwood remained a peaceful place, but now it was filled with the laughter and joy of two best friends and their newfound connection to the past. Oliver and Emma realized that the true treasure they had found was not just Eliza's journal, but the lasting friendship they had formed and the history they had uncovered together. And so, in the quiet village of Everwood, the legacy of Eliza's adventures lived on through the hearts and stories of Oliver, Emma, and Mrs. Whitaker. The woods, the cabin, and the treehouse became symbols of the timeless bond of friendship and the joy of discovery, cherished by all who knew their story.